Hey. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Okay, once again, thank you everyone for tuning in at this hour. Welcome to our Affinity live stream once again. So we have been doing this for the last 4 weeks consistently. I don't know how long we can last, but I will try to organize as many live stream as possible. It's not easy, frankly, it's really not easy to come up with the topics, and then we have to coordinate with the trainers, and the trainers has to sacrifice their night time, their rest time to come in to share more insights or interesting topics and trends with you guys. So we will try to see how long we can last, and we'll try to organize as many as possible. So while waiting for others to tune in, so if you are here, maybe you can help me to say hi, as usual in the YouTube chat, so that we know that you have tuned in, and we hope to make this a more interactive session. Okay, so today is the ninth episodes for the last 4 weeks. So time really flies, and frankly, I'm very proud of all the trainers sacrificing the rest time to come in to share various topics. So we have covered from AI, to increase productivity. We have covered Muslim markets, how to serve your Muslim clients better. We have even covered legacy planning, sharing with you all the shocking moments, shocking news, that you have never heard of in the industry. So, but everything that we have done is just one objective in mind, which is really to build a lifelong learning community. Okay, to give you guys also a chance to interact with our trainers. They are very seasoned. They are seasoned industry veterans with at least more than 20 years in the industry. So for tonight, I really hope that you guys can take this opportunity to ask them questions, as many as possible. Yeah, just give us 1 hour. Just give us 1 hour focus for tonight. Okay. Okay, so let me just welcome our speaker for tonight. Darren, how are you?
Hello, everyone. I'm good.
Good, good. Darren, I heard that you conducted a webinar yesterday, and hundreds of advisors have tuned in, and within 1 hour, 39 students signed up and paid for the course. So how do you feel about that? What did you share?
Oh, okay. So you heard about that. All right. I'm very encouraged by the signups. It means to say that there are many financial advisors that really wants to learn about this topic. Well, what I did was to really give them a preview of the course I'm running, which is the one-day IVF course. And I also showed them a few case studies, which is actually my specialty, because every case study there is a point, a message to be learned. And if you are a financial advisor, that message is even more important for you because you can take that message, share the message with the client, and help the client to see a different angle, an angle that you also can be part of, and you can contribute value to it by your insurance products.
Mm,
So I believe that is essentially the motivation behind why people sign up for the program. They've always wanted to learn about legacy planning, and perhaps in me, they found a mentor that can show them the application.
mm.
Many of them sign up because they said something like they want to have mentorship beyond theory. So to many of them, they must have taken a lot of courses before, but finally they found a program that is more application based.
Yes, yes, Darren, I totally agree with you. All this while, my belief was students sign up because of the funding, right? But yesterday, the reply from the student was almost 70% of the students, they sign up because they want to learn your approach on legacy planning to close high value cases. This is a very good finding from the survey, that not they don't sign up because of a subsidy. They sign up because of you as a trainer.
Okay, I think they're very generous with their compliments. Uh,
Mm.
I also appreciate the fact that I'm given an opportunity by Affinity Academy to present this course to them. And
Mm.
actually, I want to say thank you to you, Kara, because we come on weekly, but you come we come on weekly, but you come on daily. So this is where I believe without your push, without your resilience to even want to do this, is therefore
Mm.
difficult for any one of us to keep this going. But I'm very
Yeah.
happy. I think what gave me the motivation to do the next preview would be that there's still a lot of people who haven't discovered how and how the approach should be for legacy planning.
Yep, nice, nice. So, okay, so I guess when you're ready, the mic is yours. Yep.
Okay, sure. Let me take it away from here. So I can begin, right? All right, to all the audience in the group chat, hi, good evening or good night, okay? But let me just share with you all that 10 o'clock is still an early night for us to begin our deep learning, because if this is the last thing you hear before you sleep, it could be the first idea you have tomorrow about how to open a case. Okay, so let's go with this. For some of you who have never heard of me before, my name is Darren. Let me give a proper introduction. This is my profile. Okay, and you can see in yellow my motto, which is to preserve family wealth and harmony for generations. Contrary to what many people have thought about, legacy planning is a transitional tool with a blueprint to spread wealth across generations. And more importantly, it's not about the wealth. More importantly, it's about the harmony and the peace. And that's where it started. That's where I started off legacy planning with the objective of. So this is my one-page profile. You can read more about me and what I've done and what I've learned to be able to do what I do today. I speak often on the topic of trust planning, and this is where my specialization and my superpower is. I use trust planning concepts from the Western world, the Eastern world, so as to marry together and give my clients a good, robust, sustainable structure for their wealth that they are going to pass on to their family. And after meeting me, sometimes I force them to think differently from what they ever know about what we call legacy planning. And of course, if you want to know more about my profile, you can always Google up me. I'm found in this community called STEP, Society of Trust and Estate Practitioners. I belong to this non-profit organization worldwide. There are 22,000 of us. And if you see my title, it's called TEP. To many of the professionals, it's just merely to share that I'm qualified and competent in what I do after having done a rigorous program. And I continue to enjoy going to overseas conferences, in fact, to study and understand more about the trust, the taxation, and the inheritance situation in every country. Why do I do that? Because today, the world is very complex. There are 22,000 of us spread all over the world. And what we do is we come together, and for me especially, when I have to handle clients who have multiple assets in multiple jurisdictions, this is called cross-border planning. I need my friends in other parts of the world to come together and to get and put together what we call our expertise into helping our clients solve their legacy planning arrangements. Okay, so well, happy to see Benjamin. Hi, Benjamin. Yes, good evening. Yeah, I'm seeing you. Okay, great. So let me just start off with today's topic, which is really about future-proofing yourself. And what I do is I take real legal situations, real legal battles to come and tell you about what we can all learn. Because frankly, we want to learn how not to be in the same situations as the case studies we read from newspapers. So every case, every high court judgment that comes out becomes a learning reference for us so that we are more aware. And when we are more aware, we can take more effort to protect the family members and not to put them in very difficult situations where the court is the place they seek an answer from. That is the last thing that we should be doing with our clients. Okay, so today there are 5 blind spots I want to share. Okay, these are the 5 blind spots. Okay, and what I want to do is this. Okay, oh sorry, there are 5 blind spots when it comes to will writing. Okay, so you may have clients who have what we call done will writing. I truly would think that people do not know what they don't know. And if they are templating their wills from the next templated copy they find from ChatGPT and all that, then there goes what I call the opportunity to study further the difficult situations. Now, First of all, let me just give you an important foresight. We will never know if our beneficiaries will ever get into trouble, financially or legally. So when things like scams start to be more prevalent in Singapore and even worldwide, you never know whether you yourself or your beneficiaries may be the subject matter of another scam in future, because today the technology for scammers are very high tech. Next time when you pick up a phone, don't just really believe that it's your mom or it's your father or it's your auntie on the line. Whatever picture you see, whatever voice you hear, they may all be fake. And that's the technology that's happening right now. The enablement of all the processors and all the whatever technologies are starting to even what I call cause stress to all the consumers. So things like these scams are happening right now. You will happen more often in future. Remember the first bank that had this scam issue in Singapore? Which bank was it? Do you remember? Yeah, it was OCBC. And for the very first time in Singapore, even a bank got scammed. And luckily, the bank came out and assured what I call all the depositors who lost their monies to reinstate back. But how many times can a bank do that? Maybe for the first time. But onwards, the bank will tell you, 自己保重. You yourself must take care of your own self. So we can only do education, education, and education, but you yourself must be more alert than anything. You cannot always pinpoint back to the bank or the financial institutions to ask them to recompensate you for the losses you make. Therefore, scams in the future will be of a thing to worry about. If you agree with me, maybe you can just comment, because I believe the scammers today are actually very smart. They know who are rich, they know who will come into inheritance, they know who turns 55, they know who to target. They know who to target. So don't let your wealth be exposed. Don't let your wealth be exposed. It's not really a good thing. The really wealthy people are actually very low-key, humble people. I would like to tell you that most of them don't even want to have social media exposure. They browse, they troll the internet, but they don't show themselves to the world. Okay? Yes, scammers are very smart today. Thank you for agreeing. Okay? Yeah. Because that's really true. At one stage in Singapore history, in the year 2022, there were even people who impersonate themselves as government officials on Telegram with investment offers. So these are scams that I tell you are really creative and crazy. So don't believe everything you read. Always seek verification. And even jobs were what I call fake, because they are scams. So there are so many scams to think about. And truly, I will tell you, when you are doing legacy planning for elderlies, as in leaving behind a large sum of money for parents or for young children, you must really think twice again if they should really inherit a large sum. So questions to think about are these. 10 years ago, were there as many scams as today? And were those scams as sophisticated as the ones you see today? Now, picture another 10 years ahead. Would you then agree with me that the scams ahead 10 years later will even be far more sophisticated, and you will have trouble today to distinguish what's real and fake? Not to mention, therefore, your elderly parents or elderly beneficiaries who have even so much more stress when managing monies, because they don't know who is on their phone calling them with all sorts of nonsense and scaring them to bits. And that's why I want to bring you the case study for today. This is an article that came out in 2014, and this story tells you about the story of how a person can lose $1 million. So what is this story going to be? Like what I said, I'm using real life case studies, cases that have been reported in the papers to share a message, and hopefully you can learn all from these messages that I'm sharing. As you can see, what's in the headlines was that the widow of a killed Changi Airport worker is now broke. So you can already guess the end point. But this was a starting point actually. The husband or the breadwinner of the family passed away while at work. So Changi Airport Group was the employer. They raised really a lot of money for the family. And do you know that they actually raised up to the tune of $1 million? And the problem is, what happened to the $1 million? So initially, after all the fundraising and came in, I think the fundraise was about 800,000, one of the biggest fundraise in Singapore. It was like, okay, really Singaporeans pour all their heart to help this destitute family. So the initial distribution, which came from 800,000 of donations and over 100,000 of insurance, the initial distribution that this lady had, the mother of all the 4 kids had, was that I will then allocate properly 200K for each child and 150K for herself. Sounds quite logical and sensible and well thought of. So she actually wanted to speak to a higher financial advisor, and do you know what happened? She actually did not follow through the appointment, although she wanted to work with them. Ended up, who became the financial advisor for this $1 million? Guess? Guess who became the $1 million financial advisor? Do you all know? If you know, you can put in the chat as well. Yeah, I'm turning my head because I'm looking at my chat. Okay, if you don't know, let me tell you, this lady became her own financial advisor. So she managed the money herself. And how did she manage it? She used it in the following manner. 50K to repay debts. And I don't know what kind of debts, but she gave some money to relatives and she took a holiday with her family in Genting. $500,000 went to her elder brother's business, which eventually folded in 6 months. I don't know what kind of business you can put in, which is $500,000, and you can later on in the end lose it after six months. The last I remember, it was a logistic business. So I tell you, sometimes in life, if it looks too good to be true, it is really too good to be true. I don't know what was told to her, but I believe it was some magical investment returns, and she gave $500,000 to the brother, folded after 6 months. So sometimes the scammers in your life are not very far. They might just be around you. And once you come into possessions of large sums of money, they are the first one to smell blood and they come after you. So just really be very careful about not exposing your wealth. And after she lost $500,000, she was very sad, perhaps to the point of maybe they feeling very low morale. So she spent 400,000 in 5 months now, which is 80K a month. I don't know what she spent on. At the end of the day, she basically just blew away all the money. And at the end of the day, she became back to square one. All she had to say when questioned by everyone else was well-meaning and concerned. I also don't know how I finished using the money. So the point of this story is, number one, do not let people who cannot manage money come into possessions of large sum of monies. They really have no idea how to manage it. They really have no idea how to manage. Do you agree, for the audience in my group? Do you agree? Some people who have never made more than $1 million in their life, when they come to possession with $1 million, they really don't know what to do with it. That's why you always hear everyone wanting to strike Toto. And after that, when you ask them what you're going to do with the $1 million, what will they say? They will always tell you all the fantastic plans about how they want to spend the $1 million. Nobody will ever tell you how they're going to invest the $1 million to grow more money. And that's the problem today. Today, if you're the one who work hard and make the money, you will also develop the financial intelligence that comes along with coming to possessions of such large sums of money. That's why when this large sum of money is passed on to the next generation or to the beneficiaries who have never seen so much money their whole life before, they are overwhelmed, okay? They're overwhelmed. So that's the problem. When people are overwhelmed, they really become stressed. And then all they can do is think about how to spend the money. And that's the problem. So for this case study should tell you that you must really think harder before you decide that the monies you ever leave behind are to be managed and owned by so-and-so beneficiary, because you got to think harder about the beneficiary's capability about using money or managing money. Do I say make sense? And thank you very much, Benjamin. Yes, if you have $1 million, you will grow it and do not spend it away. That's great. Because why? You're a financial advisor. And only financial advisors will say things like this. To the normal consumers who may have never have earned more than 100,000 before or 200,000 before in their life, coming to possession of $1 million is taisai, you know. It's really like a lot of money, you know. And they would imagine they cannot finish spending it, so they will spend it, and they really will finish it. Okay? So that was the first story I shared tonight. So if you agree with me, go through some of your clients' legacy planning arrangement, wills. Ask them properly who are they leaving money behind, and will that money ever become made good use of. For those of you who have clients with young children, this next story is for you. Because when you have young children or your clients have young children, they absolutely need to go and make a will because of the fact that should they pass away, husband and wife together at the same time or one after another, and they have young children surviving them, then the issue of guardianship will come in. The issue of executorship will come in. And that's the problem about people who have young children, because they might not have really thought through who is the better executor, who is the better guardian. So let me just ask you a question. If today you are faced with this situation, in the dying moments, maybe someone that you know come and ask you for a favor, would you deny this favor? Would you deny these last wishes of a dying person, especially if it's your family or relatives? How would you answer this question? To my audience today, how would you answer this question? Would you deny or would you do the person the favor? Those of you who said you would deny, you please can put. So yes, Benjamin, you won't deny because they hold your hand. No, they say, "Can you help me? My last wish for my life." So it's very difficult to deny one, and that's what exactly happens to this next story I'm going to share. You will see the headline: Executors of Woman's Will liable to pay son 87,000. This article came out in 2020. And in the dying moments of this deceased woman, of this woman who was going to die soon, she pulled in her cousin and a social worker and made them do the favor of being her son's guardian. Look at what I highlighted over there. Both the guardian and the co-executrix took up their roles in September 2003 after being coaxed by the mother who was dying of cancer. So they were interviewed. She succeeded at persuading me to take up the thankless job of executing her will and becoming the boy's guardian, said the first defendant, a cousin of the mother. So can you imagine this scenario? The woman is dying in the hospital bed, holding the hands of her cousin and asking the cousin to be my only son's guardian and executor of my will. How would you deny? You can't deny. So Benjamin, you're right, you won't deny. And Forex slowly but surely 5340 says also won't deny. Hard to deny. Because 你有血你有肉, you see. But 好心没有好报. At the end of the day, the son grew up, and maybe I share the story with you. The son grew up at a point in time when the mother died, the young child was only a 14-year-old. And many years later, when he turned 28, he sued the guardian, he sued the executors, which included a social worker, who had no interaction after having agreed to become the guardian and the executor of the deceased woman's will. This social worker had nothing to do with the family. She said she trusted the cousin to do best and then left it to that. So 她是很冤枉的, this social worker. So the court noted that the sources of income from the dead woman's estate included rent from an Yishun flat that totaled about 98,000 over the years. The flat was handed to the son after he turned 21. So I believe when the son died, he was 14 years old. The estate included this Yishun flat. This cousin, because of the fact that she is an executor, and also a guardian took possession and managed the Yishun flat and passed the Yishun flat to the son at 21, which is 7 years later. You are given a house to manage. You pass a house to the son. You thought your job is done. For some reason, this boy went to actually calculate and found that there was a rental income of 98,000 that was unaccountable, and therefore brought the case to sue and really bite the hand that fed him. So after going through the asset-related documents and deducting maintenance and education expenses, the judge held in February of 2020 that both women were jointly and individually liable to pay 87,000. So today, let me ask you, for the people in my group, if today you 做了好事，照顾这个小朋友 for 7 years until 21, and then pass the house to the boy at 21, now your mommy left a flat for you. You're 21 years already. Now you're the owner of the flat. Then this boy, 7 years later at 28, go and sue you and say, you took money from my mom's estate. You never give it to me. How would you feel? This is really, really, absolutely something that is beyond imagination. And one of the duo was also the guardian of the son after his mother. Yeah, so I was telling you the cousin was the cousin was the executor and also the guardian. Huh? So this is crazy. So at the end of the day, look at the newspaper cuttings I did. Coaxed by the dying mother, cousin to the mother, which is that means the boy's aunt. Okay. Then the court said that both women failed in their duties as joint executrices and trustees of the estate, and then held them liable to pay 87,000. Oh. So today, do you think you like to pay this kind of money? I think you'll be very upset. Anyway, the lawyer that represented the boy, now the man, 28 years old now, claimed that they were misappropriated by the guardian. That means say 你吞钱哦. So now let's go back to the law. The law says what? The law says that if you're the only guardian of the child and you have financial difficulty supporting the child, then I'm sorry, it is your duty. It is a duty of the parent or guardian of a child to maintain or contribute to their maintenance if they cannot look after themselves. That means the court in Singapore and the law in Singapore is such that if you're the guardian and you're the parent, you have to take your own money to care for them. Because it's your duty, you know. And that's why I tell you, those of you in my group today, if you are the guardian, oh, 𝐶𝐸𝐽保重, I tell you, really. Don't want to become guardian already. Yeah, of course. Don't anyhow agree to be guardian. Don't anyhow agree to be executors and trustees. Trust me, you do not know enough. You do not know enough of the law. And when you say yes, you have no idea the fiduciary duties and the responsibilities you have to bear. When things go wrong, you just have to kena sue. So that's why I say, to those of you who are serving clients, who have young children, who are going to appoint guardians, tell them one thing. Don't give people the job without giving them the compensation. That's why in my course, I will tell you that you have to learn how to do funding. Funding from estate to take care of guardians' interests. Otherwise, nobody will want to be a guardian. Do you know guardians can also relinquish their role? Yeah, so you don't want a guardian to walk out on you and quit on your family, no, and quit being a guardian to your child, no. Okay, so anyway, let me just tell you a bit more about guardians. Guardianship has a few kinds. When you are the parent to a child, you are the main guardians. And because you are not doing it on your own, you are doing it with your spouse. So you are called joint guardians. Okay, joint guardians. Now, if the joint guardians, any one of them dies, then the surviving parent will naturally be the natural guardian surviving. The deceased parent can always appoint a substitute guardian to work with the natural surviving parent to do co-joint guardianship. But the law is such that as long as the natural parent is around, this natural parent will have more say in terms of certain matters. So hence, understanding this means that when you are helping your clients plan for their wills or their legacy planning, think about all these different situations. If there is only one parent that passes away, will there be a case of joint guardianship with a surviving parent? And if both parents pass away, is this a sole guardianship or is there a sole guardianship with replacements? And finally, you have to think about the last part, where is joint guardianship with guardians appointed by the other parent. So these are the many different guardianship situations, which I will not go into detail because it's not a law class, but suffice to say, you must know, today if you go and appoint someone to be your guardian, think about the adjustments this guardian must make to their lives. If you appointed a guardian who's a high-flying executive who always travels for work, suddenly now you throw him a child. Can this person fly? Cannot really. So this person will have to do what? Will have to relook at his career options and opportunities in life, and may even be hampered. How and who is going to compensate all this? So think about this. So tonight, if you are in my chat group, or if you are in this situation, if you are one of the 11 people who's inside here, already this is one case you can go and open already. Okay, and this is what I teach in my one-day program. I teach financial advisors how to see angles to bring in cases, because most of you have not been able to connect the dots. So you see the problem and you solve the problem, but you don't know how to create a solutioning out of this problem. So that's what I teach in my one-day IVF program. Okay, so anyway, you know, sometimes in life, this kind of thing happens. One, parents killed 2 young children hurt in Johor car crash. Now, this is one of those very unfortunate situations where everyone died in the family except this little boy or this little girl, or both the little boy and little girl, and now they become orphans. This is one case study like that, which was in the year 2018, 2010. And you know, another case could also be like that. Okay? Another case could also be like that. Boy survives Christmas Day crash. This is 2026 already. That means this is 11 years that passed. This boy, now, who was an orphan then, has probably grown up to become a bigger boy already, or adult. Why do I put this case and the other case? Because this case tells you about a very sad case whereby the parents who died didn't leave a lot of money behind. Leaving behind only two children who are helpless financially. And then the youngest brother of one of the deceased said that, I'm the only one who live with them in Singapore, but I can't look after them alone because I have to work. Correct, huh? So we hope to let the this is very tough. So this is a case about where the children are orphaned, and actually, to be honest, nobody had the means to look after them. Not the time, not the financial. This case, this one was a fight over this child. No, that means this child was well taken care of and left a lot of money by the parents. So I think no matter who take care of the child will not be unfairly treated. So this is the problem today about guardianship. I always want to tell people, really think through who you appoint as guardian. Also think about the adjustments and inconveniences you're bringing to the guardianship's life. So compensate them. And this is where your next case will come from. Now, executors. Is it very easy to choose executors of a will? Let me tell you, 95% of people get it wrong. Whoever they name as executor, after I ask them a few more questions, they realize, alamak, I choose the wrong person. Why? Because they always choose whom they think is the most trusted person to be their executor. But this is not the only criteria. And this cannot be the sole criteria, in fact. So let me just help you to understand. If today I show you this picture, okay, and I ask you, okay, who is on the left side is the top 10 goalkeepers in the world. Okay, do you know any of them? On the right side are the top 10 defenders in the world. This was all based on 2021. Why do I show you goalkeepers and defenders? Because I tell you, selecting your executors for the will is like choosing the best goalkeeper and best defenders you can find in the whole world. Because you need to look at not only them being trustworthy, you also need to look at them being financial competency. Do you always think about the financial competency of the executor or not. Because if your executor is not financially competent, you're throwing them a big problem, you know. Leaving behind all the assets for the child, and then end up what? End up then they have to manage the money plus the child. I tell you, it's a very big problem. And the most important part, this person must also outlast your beneficiaries. So most important criteria I always say when you're choosing your executor is be choosing a person who is your best defender and goalkeeper of your assets. Not the kind that when people are attacking, right, they go right, the goalkeeper and the defender run away, you know. Hey, you don't laugh, no. Sometimes when things get worse and very tricky, you can always walk out as the guardian and executor one. You can say 我不干了 let it go 咯，我不干了，这么难的东西我不干了。So this is the problem. Because why? In life, really got people 不干 one. So I show you this case study. The case law is about Boyer, Adam Godfrey, and another versus Wi-Tian-Liang. This is a 2021 High Court case study. So what is the background? Basically, this is a property transaction that did not materialize. So who are the parties? Mr. Boyer and Ms. Rajmacha were the joint owners of a landed property in Singapore. So there's this landed property, two owners. What happened is that the property was to be sold by this Mr. Boyer and Ms. Rajmacha to Mr. Wi-Tian-Liang. But before Mr. Wi-Tian-Liang can complete the sale, Mr. Wi died. So now, what happens? You thought you sold the house, but the person signed the option but never complete. So 怎么办? 怎么办? So in the end, right? Oh, you very sian, right? So you go and say, 算了啦, you cannot. I will sell the house to another person. But you know what? The next person they sold to was at a very much lower sale price. So the Mr. Boyer and Ms. Ramacha decided to sue the estate of Mr. Wi-Tian-Liang for not completing the sale and causing them to lose money because they have to sell the house at a lower price. This is called the abortive sale. Okay? So in the end, there was a trial, and because Mr. Wi-Tian-Liang passed away intestate, right, which has no will, when the trial day comes, nobody went to the court representing the deceased, no. I mean, even though Mr. Wi-Tian-Liang did not leave a will, but even under the situation of dying intestate, there's also administrator what? But guess what? Nobody from Mr. Wi's family came forward to defend Mr. Wi because, well, nobody wanted to take the responsibility. So no letter or administrations were made in respect, and his only next contactable kin declined to be involved in the estate, no, and in the litigation. Isn't this your goalkeeper or your trusted family member running away from the case when it needs to be really settled? So I tell you in life, don't think your goalkeeper, no, your executor cannot run away, no, they can. Okay? So in the end, this, like what I said, I highlighted this part. June 22nd, 2020, the defendant's then counsel stated that the defendant's brother had indicated that none of the defendant's family members were prepared to administer the defendant's estate. 有了事谁要管? 出了事谁要管? So that's the problem. So for whoever is, in this case, Mr. Wi-Tian-Liang did not even choose an executor, but family members can always step forward to defend, but they don't want. Let me tell you, what does a good goalkeeper look like? A good goalkeeper could be someone like this case, where first it involved the death of a very high-profile background, because it's the first case in Singapore that someone died on the surgical table due to cosmetic surgery. In this case, liposuction. So a very prominent rich person died while undergoing a liposuction procedure. Family members were upset. This guy left behind a will. In the end, the executors couldn't handle this whole thing, because to be the executor of a deceased who died in such an unnatural situation means that you got to represent the deceased in court to sue the doctors. And this is where you really thought, hey, this is beyond my scope of competence. So let me tell you, if you're the executor, you're the trustee, you must know your role. Your role as executor, a lot of people tell you is very simple one. Just gather assets, pay funeral, and distribute. Your role as a trustee, very simple one. Just hold and distribute. But let me tell you, all this is because it's natural death. But if it's not natural death, or then you got to then go and represent your deceased. If you're the executor and the trustee, you got to represent the deceased to go and sue people already. Sue people means what? 你也是没有空的 no? You also got to go court no to sue people. So at the end, Mr. Franklin Hink's original executors decided to excuse themselves because they said it was too difficult to go through this whole procedure. So they brought in 𝐉𝐸₻𝐧 trustee. Back then, it was known as 𝐉𝐸₻𝐧 trustee. Today, they are known as precept trustee. And this whole situation is such that at the end, my understanding, precept trustee fought very hard representing the deceased and managed to get an extra 1 million from the whole proceeding. That means if they sue for 5 million, the court awarded 6. Something to the effect. And this is what I mean by having a good goalkeeper. So for those of you who have clients who really don't know how to choose executors one, tell them sometimes don't need to choose people, choose companies to act for you. Pay money only, 小事。最重要的是 become your best goalkeeper. Alright? So a lot of people will say, 哇，这样会不会很贵？ And let me tell you, appointing your family members 不代表是便宜的哦。Because you know that, you may not know, but under the Section 66 of the Probate Administration Act, the court may in the discretion allow the executors to charge a 5% on the value of the estate collected by them. So if you ask me, Darren, can you be my executor and trustee? I say, can. I charge 5%. I like my swap. So, so don't think your executors will do for free, no? Okay, because a lot of people say, I choose my brother, I choose my sister, means that they will do for me one. Let me tell you, they can charge 5%. So common trends that we found, people choose siblings choose spouse ignore the scenario of a common disaster, ignore the part of inconvenience to the executor and trustees, ignore the duration of the role of the executor. Once you're executor, 你没有空 for next 6 months to 1 year. 你要忙这些 And then I tell you, sometimes 你自己都会吐血 because why? 哇，这么 difficult. Why is it me? You also question life, man. Why is it me? So if you somehow have no idea the assets left behind by the deceased, you're just super busy already, just hunting down the assets all over the world. Okay? And I tell you, this common trend really just means to say that if I can list down 6, it's because these are the 6 I always find out that when I do wills review and audit, I tell you these are the common things that happen one. At the end of the day, the client will say, I choose the wrong executor. I say, correct, well, luckily you found now. You still got a chance to change. Okay? Yeah. So in the end, good practices include what? Plan through if your executor can assume the role. Inform them, don't catch them offhand and off-guarded. Consider the use of a corporate executor, because I tell you, it's a better thing to have a company and paying the company to do this professional job. Because if you, realize from the case, the deceased died due to a misadventure on the surgical table, so must pursue a case to sue one. If your executor is lousy, the executor says, 算了，不要sue了, then it's jialat already, right? Okay? So these are the things you must know. The potential repercussion of being an executor is all captured here, okay? So you really must know the possible implications you have to go through. Now, I've come to the end of tonight's session. I hope you have enjoyed yourself and learned something new today. To the audience who came in today, I don't know if you learned anything. If you have learned anything, can you key in the word yes? Can you key in the word yes in the chat group if you felt you learned something today? Thank you, Miss Kachin. Oh, you are the 忠实 supporter, man, Miss Kachin. Yes. Okay, so Miss Kachin said, yes, you learned something today. Great. If you're a financial advisor, Miss Kachin, I hope today you saw the case study and you know how to open case already. Benjamin also said, yes. Oh, I'm happy that some of you are able to take away something useful. Okay, but of course, like what I said, it's only 45 minutes. How much can I share, right? If you really want to learn more, let me just share with you my program. It's running. This was the one that I was interviewed just now by Kyra. And yes, one evening yesterday, I took the chance to talk about the program, and out of a possible crowd of about close to 180 plus, half of them sign up for this program. I was very encouraged, very elated that people trusted me a lot to want me to help them with taking that first step towards learning legacy planning. You may have not seen some of the videos, and if you have not, then maybe you can go and check it out, my TikTok channel, my Facebook, my IG channel, because I am very much for the idea of elevating our professionalism. We have always a choice. If you think you are only an insurance advisor, then you'll always be only an insurance advisor. I decline to think like that. I believe I can do a lot more. So that's why I specialize a lot. And finally, after spending 18 years and countless of money on my own education to learn what I learned, I'm able to now synthesize everything together and bring a very big value to my clients. And this is where I hope you can also do the same thing. So for those of you who are interested, reach out to Kyra if you want, okay, to join this this course, and you can also come to the preview if you want the next session, because I'm running a preview on next Tuesday. All right. So those of you who do not know about the fact I'm running this, great, reach out to Kyra for invite, okay, because this is Finity's program. I just signed up a preview on the 31st March. Are you going to share some same content? No lah. The content 31st March is different one. But thank you for asking. Okay. I got a lot of content one. So this content I use is only for you all, for this live session. I especially prepared because Kyra took so much effort to do this. I needed to give something different to this audience. So to romantic to say good night. No, the 31st March content is different from this. Okay? So of course, for some of you who already wanted to sign up this program, let me just walk you through. This program, SkillsFuture, is applicable if you've never used it before. If you're above 40 years old or below 40 years old, you will also enjoy some form of subsidy. Okay, that's the matter of how much. After you pay whatever you need to pay, you can still seek in reimbursement if you're an NTUC member. So it's perfect if you're, how many of you are NTUC member? Okay, how many of you are here are NTUC member? Yes, 𝐿𝐸𝐬𝐳 is a 1-day course. You're right, it's a 1-day course. Okay, 9 to 6:30. Me, NTUC member, Benjamin, yes. So if you're an NTUC member, you will get this UTAP training assistant grant or reimbursement because you're an NTUC member, so they got money to give you. And let me just work out for you that after completing the course, okay, after completing the course, you will then send in your reimbursement claim using your SingPass by going to this NTUC website. We will be guided. I mean, you will see this again, so you'll be guided how to claim. So you can see NTUC itself, search course have this leaving a lasting legacy already for you. At the end, like what I say, to how to submit, first, you must see, are you above 40 or below 40? Then the IBF subsidy will apply. So you're either going to pay $420 if you're above 40 years old, or $700 if you're below. Okay? Yeah, then at the end of it, simply after paying all the whatever thing you need to pay, you can apply to UTAP to claim for reimbursement. Okay? Yeah. So finally, ta-da! I worked out the sums already. Okay? For people who are below 40, although you have to pay $7 and you have no cash, if you have no original SkillsFuture credit, then you just pay the $7 by cash. You will then take back $250. Finally, your outlay is only $450. To 𝐿𝐸𝐳 over there, will there be a test at the end of the course? Yes, there's a test. Very simple test. Okay, multiple choice. Yeah, very simple test one. Nobody failed before. Okay. Yeah, this one, nobody failed before, trust me. Now, if you're above 40, congratulations. You will pay $420 after the subsidy. And if you got enough SkillsFuture credit, the original $5 SkillsFuture credit, you can use it to pay entirely. If you don't have, you pay $420 you seek for reimbursement from UTEP, your total outlay is only 210. 210, 450, these are small investments that could make you the biggest investment returns. Imagine after spending an hour with me, you already learned so much. What happens if you spend one whole day with me? So that's why I say, if you're really keen, take your phone now, scan the QR code here. Okay, scan the QR code here, or take a picture here, sign up today, get this going, and do yourself a big favor, because now you may have that one opportunity that will change the way you look at 2026. At the end of the day, let me just end off with this quote, okay? Estate planning is an act of love. It's just as done in advance for people you may never see again. So this is the beautiful part, and I think the most weta part. Yi-Chin, you say what? Is this the only course you're running for legacy planning? You may have saw me in many other different situations. I do this program for IBF with Finity. I do some programs with other training academy. I also have my own training program. Okay, but like what I said, if you never know me, then you will not know the value I could bring to your practice. So IBF one day program is the cheapest investment you can put just to see what I can do with you. Okay, but if you have seen and you're like some of my other students, you will ask me, can you do mentorship or that? That's another separate thing we'll talk about in the camp, in the program. But yes, I have other high-level advanced program, just for information. Finally, for those of you who never saw my TikTok before, thank you to Kyra for encouraging you to connect with me at TikTok. So I will put up my program, all the different Facebook, TikTok. I run this PTE Academy, where you will see a lot of knowledge, a lot of content for financial advisors usage. Okay? And like what I said, thank you very much to Kyra for really giving us trainers a chance to connect over a YouTube live session and giving us a chance to build the community together with Finity, because really education is one big step you can do for yourself and give yourself one big idea, one after another. Whether is it AI, whether is it Muslim estate planning, whether is it my program, I think all the programs run by Finity are absolutely of value. So please take a look and see what you can do for yourself for the year 2026. So my name is Darren. This is my profile. I speak a lot of topics. I speak a lot on trust planning, and I'm happy to be connecting with you tonight. So let me just wish all of you a good night rest. You've really hung on to it. And now, after 57 minutes of interaction, tomorrow you will be pleased. Okay? So that's it. 谢谢你们大家. Kyra, I am done.
Thank you. Yep, thank you, Darren. Okay, so thank you, Darren, and thank you all of our audience who stayed through the last 1 hour. I hope you have learned something from the real legal battles, real case studies that Darren has shared. Yeah, so just a bit of confession, Darren. Actually, I purposely organized this live stream is also to force myself to learn, because instead of scrolling away at night, right, I put this in a very structured manner, force all of you guys to learn together with me. Okay, and then, okay, so now you guys, I hope you all have some inspirations on how to use all these tips to open high value cases. So tonight, what Darren is sharing today is just a glimpse of his full 1 day course. So if you are really interested to find out more about the course, Darren will also be running a webinar on the 31st of March, which is next week. And it is free. And I've shared the link on the YouTube chat. And or if you missed it, you can also PM me and I can share with you even more. And with that said, Darren, I really want to thank you for staying through so many episodes with us. And I hope I can invite you again as our speaker for Finity Future live streams and force everyone to learn together with me. So I wish everyone here have a restful night and see you next week. We still have on Monday AI by 𝐻𝐸𝐽, using cloud AI by 𝐻𝐸𝐽, and also on another episode by Firdaus on the Muslim market. So next week will be the last stream for the month of March, and hopefully I can arrange something for the month of April also. And if you have any topics that you want to learn, feel free to PM me as well. Yeah, that's all. I'm Kyra signing off for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye, Darren. Thank you. Hey, I'm done. Huh?
You said 11 o'clock?
Yeah, and